Hey everyone, welcome to the fourth Indie Devlog. I wanted to get one more out before the New Year's, and I have an exciting new mechanic to show you, which is a magic spell currently called Dash Point. I also have some environment hazards, and the moving camera is back in, which I'll explain later. Here we are after 4 weeks in prototype 1.2. As you can see, the moving camera is back in, and I added some fun little dust particles under Zara's feet. They were nice to put in, and of course everything's just in prototype stage, so if things like the run animation are off, the particles don't look fancy enough, or things look checkerbox and grey, it's because everything is still in pre-production and prototype. What I really want to talk about today, however, is the magic spells. As you can see, I'm casting a spell which is currently called Dash Point. You cast it into the air, press the trigger, and then Zara can jump into the air and dash from it. You have about 1.5 seconds to dash, or Zara will just fall to the ground, as you can see here. So you have to get your timing correct, and it's quite fun to use. I really like this mechanic compared to the bow and arrow blocks in the ground, because you have more agency over this mechanic. You can place it wherever you want. It's more dynamic. You can figure out your own solutions to problems rather than me pre-placing dash points around the level, meaning players will be able to figure out really creative solutions that I possibly didn't think of. A bit like the glider, say, in Breath of the Wild. The designer could have just put points in the level where you could dash, you could glide towards, but you can use it in many creative ways. And I hope people use Dash Point in creative ways that I'm not aware of to possibly even skip major parts of the level, which would be quite fun. Here you have more hazards. So before we had the boulder, which we saw in the first episode. And if you have a look here, we have these moving platforms. So the player now has to think, how can I use the dash point with these moving platforms? There's a development on the mechanic. And of course, there's a danger. If you look below, there's actually no ground here. So the player has to be very careful of how they move about the space. And of course, there are checkpoints to make this all fair. So you're not going back all the way to the start of the level if you fall here. I wanted to talk a little bit about the moving camera as well. You'll see that I've added it back in after in the last video I was discussing the benefits of having a static camera. And I think when I think about it, I definitely prefer the moving camera. I think development-wise, it would be easier to have a static camera. But I think it's more rewarding for me to overcome the level design challenges of a moving camera and all the challenges making it feel good for the player. So whilst it's harder, I think it's a lot more enjoyable to play with, and I think it's a good challenge to have personally. So yeah, I'm making development a bit harder for myself, but I think it'll pay off because the moving camera is really fun and it makes the levels feel larger and bigger and more explorable. And something I've really been enjoying lately is Spyro Reignited and collecting items. You'll notice there's collectibles now. So I think bigger levels that you can move through is a great thing. And I hope to, well, hopefully I can develop a game with these levels. Anyway, that's about it for the prototype. I hope you enjoyed looking at the dash points and also the collectibles and the new hazards. Thank you all so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it and got something valuable from it. I wanted to quickly discuss my Patreon. I recently launched the first Patreon podcast, which goes for around 30 minutes. I'm very excited about that. And I also launched the first resource drop article. If you remember, I used to do a video series called Resource Drop. I stopped doing it. Not really sure why. I think I was just more focused on development. But I recently turned that into an article where there are resources, my discussion and thoughts on the resources and sharing them with Patreons. So yeah, those are out, which is really great. And I want to thank the Patreons on the screen for supporting me. I didn't expect to really have any before next year, but it's really nice to have a few Patreons around. So thank you so much for supporting me. And regardless of whether you're on Patreon or not, just thank you so much for watching my videos. It's been a great end of the year for me, coming back to YouTube, getting to the 4th Indie Devlog, and I'm excited for 2019. So I hope you all had a great Christmas. I hope you have an amazing New Year's. Stay safe, have fun, and I will see you all next year.